Welcome to Gary's Graveyard Gramblings and episode 35. Coming in a slightly different sort of direction today, I thought, why not have a look at some of the other stones around and start off with something different? Because, you get bored if you're looking at the same thing every day, don't you? At least that's what the wife says. Anyway, there's the... There are the happy upper classes in their concrete bunker. We'll say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Owl, like we always do, and Count Dracula and the brides are under there. And I shall, of course, take my usual spot by Mr. John Gilbert. And hello, I'm freshly back from New York City. And still suffering from jet lag, still waking up at 4 a.m. and then not being able to get back to sleep, and then going back to sleep at 5:30 a.m. and waking up at 8 o'clock feeling like you know what. So today I thought, because it's the afternoon, I normally do these ridiculous, boring, least watched video blogs first thing in the morning before anyone else is up and when it's safe away from Count Dracula over there. But I thought today I was on my afternoon walk and I thought, it's the jet lag, you see, it's kicking in. And I suddenly thought, do you know what? I'm going to do one. So I've come into the graveyard to do one. And this morning, this is going to be all about Looweps. Looweps. Now, I can hear you thinking to yourself, what is a Loowep? Well, I'll tell you. This is an expression for an entire group of people that me and the wife coined many, many years ago when we were, this is going to sound very elitist, but I can't help it. It's a fact. It's true. We went away on a holiday to the Maldives on a package tour with Thompson. We're not talking upper class or anything here. We're talking about a cheapo that we got at the holiday hypermarket in Tutti. And so we went to the Maldives and we went to this island. I can't remember the name. I think it was Bandos, something like that. You had to get a boat there, of course, because it's only this much above sea level. Everywhere's only this much above sea level in the Maldives. And this beautiful resort, and this little island was so tiny that we timed it. To walk round the entire island took 9 minutes. And as you can imagine, with no TV, no mobile phone, no other entertainment on the island, after about, I'd say 25 minutes, I was bored out of my brains. And the wife thought this was very funny. So we used to go down and sit on the quay where the boat comes in and watch the sharks swimming around there. Now, if you imagine that the Maldives is this, it is this sort of paradise place, really, except that with this brilliant white sand beach and palm trees and blue sea and crystal clear in front of you, you'd think it would be a tourist paradise. But listen, just between you and thee and me, it isn't. Because the sun is so bloody hot that you can't possibly lie out on the sand for any length of time without being cooked. You can't go and lie under a palm tree because the coconuts, if they drop on you, will kill you with death. And the sea, you can't go running into the sea because it's a coral atoll. So the minute you enter the waterline, which doesn't change, it's at the sandy edge, you'll find coral reef which will rip your skin and flesh to shreds. So it's not exactly a paradise. Now, we did have a good time. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want to complain because I'm not a complainer, even with my Australian heritage. And Looweps, where did this come? Well, on this little island were a whole bunch of tourists from Germany for some reason. I think we were the only two Brits. I don't remember seeing any other Brits there. Couldn't tell you why. I don't know. Any roader. we used to go to what was called the Sunset Bar for obvious reasons. It faced the west, and you could have a cocktail or a glass of champagne and watch the sun go down on the horizon at this beautiful bar over the beach, over the Indian Ocean. It was gorge. And one evening we were sitting there, and we had noticed that at dinner there was a certain type of person that infested this island. Where they were from, I don't know. Some of them might have been from the UK, some from Germany, some from other places. God knows, who knows. But the type was, they would parade their babies and their very young children around as though this was some sort of trophy. And normally, neither of us would have taken any notice of this at all. But it's on such a tiny island when you've got no escape. I imagine a cruise is like that. My idea of hell is being stuck on a cruise. Floating petri dish. So we began to know, and it began to get a bit gutty, if I'm honest. And the typical one was that the man of the couple would have a papoose and a baby in it and sort of wander around holding the arms of the baby in and around the tables while people were having their dinner of an evening. Sometimes with the baby screaming its head off, and this didn't seem to make any difference. But the idea seemed to be, look what I've produced, look what we've produced. And we thought this was funny, and I coined it LOOWEP. I said, oh God, look at that, I'm not going in there, it's full of Looweps. And and the apex of Loowepism was on that island all those years back. And on the Sunset Beach at cocktail time, we were sitting, and they used to have these sort of, what do you call them things you light? Not beacons, but like candle things, you know, to sort of add a bit of ambience to it. And there was a candle, like a little flame burning just above it. And as we were sitting there having our cocktail, a woman with one of the Looweps, and one of the women walked past with this baby, plonked it on one of the tables, looking out towards the sea, and started to change the baby's diaper. Now, everyone else around them is drinking cocktails and looking at the sunset, and there's this screaming baby with a Loowep woman wiping a baby's arse, and then when she'd cleaned the baby up, she had this disposable diaper in her hand. She was looking around for somewhere to put it. And incredibly, she walked over to the nearest candle holder thing that was there and stuffed the dirty diaper into this top, grabbed the baby and buggered off. Now, I don't need to tell you how this went down with the assembled champagne quaffers, ourselves included. But what it did do was leave us with the legacy of a term, the Loowep. And I want to put this out there as the inventor of the term, because you'll see it everywhere. Now, we went this morning to an autumn fair in the countryside, in the Sussex countryside, if you please. And it was full to chock-a-block with Looweps. And it was the same thing. Usually the men, I don't know where the women are, maybe they've had enough and buggered off, but there's usually the men with a papoose, with a baby, and holding the baby's arm, and walking around and then talking loudly. And they've all got bloody silly names like Jess and Tarquin, you know, and other silly names. And the term Loowep came back to me after a lapse of some time, I have to tell you. Wagamama's is another place that's full of Looweps. Have you ever been in there? First thing you see when you go into Wagamama's is it's full of baby strollers. They're everywhere. You know, these Porsche baby strollers, Jaguar, Mercedes, Land Rover baby strollers. They're all clogging up the door, and you go in there and it's full of Looweps. So I thought I'd explain that, because I do quite often drop it into conversation and people look at me like saying, what the fuck is he on about? So now you know, a Loowep. Please feel free to use it liberally whenever you come across this. And I should tell you, actually, at the autumn fair this morning, despite the crappy couture, the sort of Beverly Hillbillies couture that's popular amongst Looweps, Loowep women, I should say, because you'll never find any clothes for men at these places, all for the ladies. And they all sort of had a Beverly Hillbilly look about them. They're sort of smocky things, you know. And I'm probably putting a picture of one up on the screen as I speak. How the hell did I get onto that? I don't know. Anyway, it's time for me to sign off from this episode, I think. I had quite enough of that. Please feel free. Remember, Looweps, look what we produced. Have a look next time you're in Wagamama. And on that cheery note, I shall say, and with my usual, see you next time. Salute.